Here we are again to that familiar place we call the Whatever Buddy Podcast. Jonny here in the 203rd person. In a continuation of last week's episode, a little bit different because this week is Jonny's story. It is a little weird because I'm talking about me. That's right, you're going to learn about the one and only me. But that would be Jonny U to you. That would be grown kids acting like, well, grown kids. So there's not much more for me to say here, except we have an effing roller coaster ahead with our favorite neurotic Jewish man on this podcast. It will for sure give you the shits. So with no further ado, Ryan and Jonny.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
What's up? How's it going?
Oh, nothing. You know, it's going.
May I ask you the obvious observation?
Yeah.
Same sweatshirt.
Yeah, Ryan, the sweatshirt's like my fucking shoes. No, hold on. The sweatshirt's like my fucking shoes. I got one fucking sweatshirt I wear. Sometimes two. I have another one. If this
like
is
a
a zip
jacket?
up, I have a zip up or a fucking hoodie sweatshirt.
So it's more of a jacket than a shirt for you? Because I wear
It's
hoodies.
fucking
as
cold
like
in here.
a
Again,
shirt.
the rehearsal room, I'm telling you, there's something clammy about this room. It's like it's a clam spot.
All right.
Clammy.
Enough. Whatever.
Hi, Ryan.
It threw me off. That's all.
I'm going to zip it up to even piss you off even more.
Yeah, buddy. What do you say we chat about you today?
I'm good with that. What do you want to know, though, is the question.
We got to set some ground rules, though, because you're a strong conversationalist. You take over a conversation. You like to lead, you know? You're looking at me so confused. You
I'm
don't
waiting
realize...
to see. I want to know where the fuck you're going with this.
I'm going with this saying we need to set some ground rules. This is my interview this time. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking...
But I'm answering the questions, so like I'm the one who should be talking, not you if you're the interviewer, right?
Right, but what I'm saying is that it's not necessarily about your details. It's about my questions. Do you know what I mean? Like,
so it's my interview about you.
Like I'll be like, I would say something like, no, that's not what I mean. Okay, hear me out. I could be like, what's your favorite drum? And then you'd be like, oh, well, I like, Tama drums. Is that, or you play DW?
Is this coming from the guy that doesn't answer any of the questions I asked him last week? I was just listening to last week's episode, Harris, and how many times did I have to be like, yeah, but answer the fucking question? So are you implying that I'm going to pull a Ryan Harris on Ryan Harris?
That's exactly what I'm implying. Maybe we'll have a safe word. It's like, if you're starting to get off topic, I'll just be like, pickle. I don't know.
Pickle?
It's a bad safe word. It's way too common, but...
Say pickle? Is that the word?
I was trying to, like safe word. Pick a safe word.
I know, but was the safe word you said pickle? I have only one AirPod. Fuck these fucking air fucking things, dude. They don't fucking work.
That's annoying. See, we're off topic
already. But it works with my phone,
pickle.
Though, man.
Pickle. We're off topic already.
Pickle. All right.
Yeah.
Anyways, what do you got?
So,
what do you want to know?
We've been doing this who are these guys type of topics. And last week we talked about me, about my past. Today we're going to talk about Jonny's past. Are you more interesting or less interesting than me? In your humble yet accurate opinion.
I think I'm less interesting, but we'll tell it in a more interesting kind of way.
Oh, yeah. I could get behind that. I don't, not behind the thing of you saying you're less interesting, but you probably...
Well, you're the guy who had the major label deal and the number 81 hit.
Yeah.
I've never had a major label deal nor a top 100 Billboard hit. So there.
But you're a good shit, so we don't give you too tough a time, you know? You grew up in Philadelphia. I'm going to do the Cliff Notes version of this story, okay? You grew up in Philadelphia. You've spoken before about having a band with your buddy Hugh, called the Hugh Dells. You guys move out to L.A. This happens, that happens. You go to M.I. You end up joining a band called The Knives. Is that a fair summary of what got you started?
No, really, no.
Okay. Correct me.
I'll correct you by saying, yes, true about Hugh, but you left out the part of our first band, Rampage, which was with me, Hugh, Chad, Mike Ost, and Chris Shepard. When we thought of the idea of being a band, we were 8. When we actually became a band, I was 10. And Chad and Hugh were 1 year ahead of us, and it's amazing. Right?
What took you 2 years?
Well, because we were 8.
It's no excuse. It's no excuse.
True.
Coming from the guy that didn't have a guitar until he was 14.
Right. So to give you a summary to where you just gave your Cliff Notes to lead up to the Knives, it kind of went like this. started the first band where we actually started playing instruments, which was Rampage at the age of 10. Okay. Before Rampage, from 8 to 10, when we were talking that we were a band without playing the instruments, we were still on the tennis rackets. We were called Death One. Not bad, though. When you think about this, Death One, a bunch of Jewish suburban kids, very strange, but it'll work. Okay,
I'm gonna go ahead and give you a critique. I like Death One better than Rampage. Why'd you change it to Rampage?
I don't know. So I got kicked out of Rampage. I was very upset about that.
Yeah. Why?
I sucked. I mean, I think that's. I that's what I don't think they got.
You're like, I'm 8.
They got this guy named Steve Carl who was like this star hockey player. He turns out to be this like star hockey player. Is the guy who replaced me in Rampage.
He was 9 and much older and more experienced in the world.
Well, but dude, it's so funny, like because it was right around when I was going to get bar mitzvah. So like you get bar mitzvah at 13. I remember going over to Huey's house and Chad and Huey were there, and I was so pissed. Like I was so mad at them, and I remember screaming, "You're uninvited to my bar mitzvah!"
I'm trying to get you to L.A., and I'm trying to get you into the Knives.
Okay, Hugh and I had a band called the Hugh Dells. It came from the band Because into the Hugh Dells. The Hugh Dells moved to L.A. At the same time that the Hugh Dells moved to L.A., I went to M.I. While at M.I., I met these guys that I started doing projects with in school. But we were kind of like the dudes who weren't like, I wouldn't say I'm a drummer's drummer. I would say I'm a guy who loves to play drums, who that's the one instrument I was able to do to get into a band. I never set out to be the best drummer. That was never my goal, and it still isn't my goal. My goal is to be the best drummer that I can be.
But I have played in a thong, and I am fun to watch, is what you're getting at.
Well, I mean, if you say I am, I'm not. I'm playing just with passion, and if that's fun to watch, fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's great. That's awesome. The guys I played with in the projects in school were all like me in their respective instrument, meaning the guitar player wasn't there to become a virtuoso. He was there to fucking, whatever his reasons were, or the bass player or the singer or whatever. Everybody, we all kind of went there and we're just like, we all really just want to fucking succeed in a band kind of thing. My decision to go to MI came off of going to a couple of shows in Atlantic City, New Jersey with Huey. One of them being David Lee Roth and one of them being Men at Work. And I remember seeing the drummers in both of the shows that I went to, and I'd be like, well, these guys aren't the original guys. They're obvious hired guys. How do I become one of those kind of guys? Hired guy. Well, let me tell you this. 3 weeks into MI, I learned I don't want to be a hired guy. Not because I'm not good enough to be a hired guy, but because I don't want to constantly be looking for a job. So the MI thing, this is how you wanted me to lead you up to how I got to the Knives, because the Knives didn't come from MI. What had happened was I ended up starting a band with those dudes I was doing my projects with in MI. We ended up, after we got out of MI and we graduated or whatever, we went and we got a rehearsal room at Downtown Rehearsal. At Downtown Rehearsal, we don't need to go through the whole story. I think I told you not too long ago how I met the Knives. But that's where I met the Knives. And my band from music school led me to the Knives by chance at being at the same rehearsal building.
Now, you told me once that that band had, what was his name? I'm not being clever. I forget the guy's name that went on to play in, was it Whitesnake? Or not, help me out, buddy. You had a
Ty Longley. That's right. That's what you're talking about. That's the second time that's come up today. It was Great White. It was Great White.
Great White. Dude, get your facts right, Ryan. My bad.
Yeah, Ty. That was a rough one. Ty. Okay, we met Ty a really cool way. Ty, we met when we were at MI because he came in and was a. Guy Marshall was one of our teachers. Guy Marshall wrote the song "There's No Easy Way Out" from Rocky IV. Yeah,
nice. He was a teacher?
Yeah, he was one of our teachers.
Dude.
He brought Ty in.
The
one
class
day.
was how to write the most 80s song of the 80s.
Dude, oh man, that's like such a great song. And it's like when he's driving around in his Lamborghini and then his motorcycle, and he throws his helmet at his own statue. You know, it's fucking great.
Great, it's awesome.
No, so Guy Marshall, he brought Ty in to talk to us about what it was like to be a professional musician, because Ty at that time, he was a younger dude, but he was playing with all the glam metal guys. You know, I remember he was the touring guitar player for Samantha 7, which the reason why it came up earlier is I was talking to a friend of ours, and she was going to see Buck Cherry this weekend, and the current drummer for Buck Cherry was the drummer for Samantha 7. Samantha 7 was CeCe DeVille's band after Poison, when Poison like broke up back in the day and before they got back together. And Ty was the touring guitar player for Samantha 7 as well, as he was for Great White. And he had left our band, not left our band, like quit our band to go on tour with Great White, but he
was in it, and then he had that opportunity. Yeah.
But he went out on that tour, and there was that terrible fire in Rhode Island, and he died in the fire.
For his guitar, huh? Yeah.
Well, he went back for the merch guy.
That's a better reason to go back.
He had his guitar in his hand, and they used his guitar like what had happened. The story that I had heard was that the rest of the band went to the bus right away, like right to the bus, stage door to bus. He went for the merch guy. He had his guitar in his hand. Him and the merch guy found a window. Merch guy took his guitar or whatever, hit the window open. When he turned around, Ty wasn't there anymore. So yeah, so that's what led me to the Knives. And getting into the Knives is an interesting story in itself. Downtown Rehearsal, the original Downtown Rehearsal, which is a Soho house now in LA. There's a loading dock, which is where the entrance is, right? I would come to rehearsal for 5 Cent Shine all the time, and I would hear this band playing. And I'd be like, man, that fucking band, like, I don't know who it is. I don't know what room that's coming from, but they keep playing this song, and I fucking love this fucking song, okay? So I go to the Dragonfly one night. It was the Pretty Ugly Club. It would happen on Wednesdays. It was Tammy Down from Faster Pussycats every Wednesday night residency at this club, the Dragonfly.
Was it like a jam night?
No, it wasn't jam night. It was like just like a rock club night, like where like he just DJ'd. But I want to say this about the Dragonfly. When I moved to LA, when I played the Dragonfly, the epitome of what I thought a Hollywood rock and roll club would look like on the inside, like the dunginess, but the fucking cool hip factor, this, that, and the other thing. The Dragonfly was exactly what I had pictured in my mind it would look like.
Was it the same remaining? Is it the same as it is today, or is it moved?
I haven't been in there for a while, but the last time you and I played there, yes. So I used to go to the Dragonfly on Wednesdays. I got a flyer from this girl. It was for her band, and I thought the girl was pretty. So I went to check out this band. When I went to go check out this band at the Cat Club, which is no longer there on Sunset, I think it's Rock and Riley's or some shit now.
Yeah, it's Riley's.
It turns out that the person who gave me that flyer, the girl who gave me that flyer, was the singer of the band that I would stand out on the loading dock and hear play all the time. So at that moment in time, I said to myself, the hell with that girl. I need to get into this band.
So obvious question. You'd listen to that band from outside. You didn't know they had a girl singer?
I did know they had a girl singer. I just didn't know it was that girl, though. I didn't know. I never saw the band. I only heard them. So make a long story short, from that point on, they were in the rehearsal building. I found out what room they were in, and I would pop in every now and again and fucking just be like, all right. So one night I go, their drummer's not there. I sit down. I'm like, you guys mind if I just fill in on a song? I play a song with them, which I had never heard before, which I could tell you exactly. There's a lot of cool stuff on the internet we can talk about and find of the very first Knives demo that were recorded on this little fucking like cassette recording thing. It's pretty awesome. Or it was burned a CD. It was like the next step past the 4-track cassette thing.
Was it that Boss that everybody had that had, I think, 8 tracks on it, but you could double them?
Yeah. And you burned it right on the CD.
We'd record our rehearsals with those, and just like you can re-listen to things that you'd normally forget.
Yeah. So we did our first demo with that. Anyway, I sat down and played this song with them. Never heard it before. Played it from beginning to end like I played it my whole life. And like everybody in the room was kind of like, whoa, what the fuck was that? That was kind of weird. So next day, the singer called me and he's like, man, that was crazy. I'm like, yeah, that was nuts. We should be in a band. He's like, oh, yeah, we got this drummer, though. Make a long story short, the drummer ended up fucking the singer. They started having this affair thing or something was happening.
Band drama.
Next thing you know, I go up to the rehearsal room one day, and it's just the guitar player and the bass player who has now become the singer.
And let's acknowledge that's Levon, who's been on the podcast. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, where we told this
Levon
story.
Webb. Shout out.
Right. So then I remember walking in there and seeing that it was just the two of them. I was like, boy, those guys just fucked themselves like bad. They had a really good band, you know. They had a great name too. It's called the LA Exiles. What a great name for a band.
So now you three are just sitting there chilling, but you're not in the band yet. Did you just ask them to be in the band?
No, I wasn't in the band, but I was still trying to get in the band, and I found out that I wasn't wanted because I had dreadlocks at the time. But I didn't know that. A couple weeks go by, and I hear them playing with a drummer. I'm like, what the fuck? I thought they wanted to play with me, and now they got some other guy in there. I walk in, and it's some fucking fat dude with dreadlocks. I'm like, and on top of this guy's got dreadlocks. That guy ended up screwing him over, and they needed a last minute. I came in and auditioned, and after after the first song, they were like, "You want to join the band?" I was like, "Yeah," and that was that.
Yeah. So before we came on here, I thought it'd be cool to maybe play some of that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's play a Knives song, and you tell me what you remember about it.
All right, this is great. I don't even know what song it is. I guess it's awesome. Are your choices of songs, let me ask this, the songs that you have chosen, were they by your personal favorites of what you had heard, or are they just random?
This one I just liked. So the song's called Kids.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Let's talk. Is it really?
Yeah.
So I picked a good one. All right, here we go.
All right, hit pause. All right, let's watch the video, and then I'll give all the shit, because
It literally, it was going for 5 seconds, and you said,
well, no, I just wanted to point out something, what the Knives
go
used
for
to
it.
do, and this video really captures that. The Knives, whenever we would play with places, we would tell the light guy, don't use your lights, we brought our own. And what we had brought with us, and what we had done was, we had taken stole the idea from Queens of the Stone Age 100%. Everything about our band, which will make sense later in this story, but everything about this band was really, I will say those
influenced
guys.
by Queens of the Stone Age.
150%.
Yeah, it's cool.
So we made these boxes. They were like milk crates. We cut them like on an angle, so they would sit like on a like this, but they'd be like on a slant, like a monitor. Mm-hmm. And inside this crate would have a red light, a white light, and a strobe light. And they were controlled by our guitar player, and we each had our own box with this in there. So we would go, and we would only use those lights on stage. So this video really captured. And then this was filmed at Kiss or Kill, which is a documentary online, on Amazon, anywhere you watch documentaries. That was about the music scene where we filmed this. This music video, if you'll take notice, the walls are white padded.
So it's fair to say this is an accurate representation of the Knives live.
Yeah, this is JU with fucking completely short hair.
All right, let's see it. Oh, there's the padded walls. Check out Levon.
Yeah.
Was it a small place? Or was it just a stage kind of?
No, it's a small place. It was Zen Sushi. It's not there anymore, but they had a stage upstairs and a stage downstairs and a sushi restaurant in between.
Dude, you had your head shaved.
Yeah. Dude, one of my favorite lines of all time is in this song. It's in the second verse again. I'll point it out. It's the second half of the second verse. We'd also hold handheld flashlights and pass them out to the crowd so they could...
So that'd be like strobe.
Yeah, right here. Borta Death, Cotton Candy, and Crystal Meth. What a fucking great line. love that line.
What was the line?
Cotton candy and the blood spills, cotton candy and crystal meth. Like the blood spills is the end of the line before it, and then it goes into cotton candy and crystal meth. It's like, that's one of my favorite songs. That was one of the songs. That song, dude, that band, I don't know, ask me what you want to know. Because, like, I mean, there's a lot of history in that band. I was in that band for roughly 5.5, 6 years. Yeah. We had 2 indie deals. And
who were your deals with?
Criterion and Aries. Mm-hmm. But we shit the bed when we had the showcase for Virgin. Like, shit the bed. Like, straight up shit the bed.
Tell the summary of that. I'm going to try to get my facts right, and then you can obviously correct me. You had you put 3 albums out. Your first album was Skin Flicks.
No, first album was self-titled.
Was it self-titled like an independent release?
Independent, but what was cool about that, it was produced by Blasco, and Blasco...
Ozzy's bass player.
He's Ozzy's bass player, but at the time, he was Zombie's bass player at the time.
Cool.
So
he produced your self-released album.
Yeah. Off of our demo that we made off of that weird machine that everybody used to make.
Little machine guy, yeah. And then how'd that lead to your first album with Criterion?
Well, Criterion happened because Virgin passed. We got this manager named Michael Dutcher. Michael Dutcher found us because he heard us being played on 100.3 Indie 1031 or something. It was like a legitimate indie rock station in Los Angeles. If you've ever heard of Brian Jonestown Massacre, he's in the documentary Dig that they had. Right. He was the booking agent for Brian Jonestown Massacre, and when their manager quit, he's the guy in the documentary who took over managing the band. That documentary came out right when he was becoming our manager. Now, he had told us, you guys should email some lawyers and stuff and see what we can do. So Levon emailed a guy named Steve Sessa. Steve Sessa was at the time the lawyer, and he still may be. He was the lawyer for the Muse and all these really big bands. Turns out he was also the lawyer for Bullets and Octane at that time.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. We sent him a package, a 4-song demo that had Kids on it, Skin Flicks, Around the Block, and I can't remember the 4th song that was on that demo. But he got the demo. He got on the phone with Levon and said, Levon, I'm sitting here in the office with the A&R guy from Virgin. He loves your demo. He wants to come see you guys at your show at the Echo next week. So he came to the show. I'm not going to divulge exact details of why this happened. I'll just say lack of responsibility by certain people in the band the night before.
Some people didn't pull their weight.
Yeah, because they decided the night before they were going to be irresponsible. And the next day when we showcased for Virgin, I remember asking our manager afterwards, how'd we do? He goes, you played great.
Isn't it funny how when you have a situation like that, you don't even need to be told what way it's going to go?
That was heart crushing. That was the closest I'd ever gotten to the major deal.
So you have a showcase for Virgin, doesn't go well. How did that failure lead into your first label album?
Here's the irony of it. The same night that Virgin declined is the same night that Criterion's like, I want to sign you guys. So
well, then why is it sad? I get it. Like, Virgin's a major label. I get that, but you still had an opportunity.
I wasn't sad that I had an opportunity. I was stoked that there was at least a fucking option.
You're like, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Dude, listen, I'm a man of principle. How many fucking times I got to say this? If we didn't get the showcase and we didn't get that deal because we just weren't good enough, fine. But we didn't get it because people didn't take it serious enough.
Yeah.
That pisses me off. You know, there's a couple of things I have a couple of moments in the Knives that I look back and I regret in the way I went about doing business that were harsh learning lessons that today I've learned from that lesson. Like, okay, never do that again. And it wasn't like I did anything self-destructive. I just went about being a businessman and not knowing what the fuck I was doing. And because I didn't know what I was doing, I closed fucking something by saying the wrong thing.
You know what? By talking about this, it's like, it's so easy to point the finger and be like, why'd that guy do that? Whenever you like, well, how many things have I done? So then you played this show, Virgin Passes, but Criterion says they want you. And that's whenever you went and recorded the Skinflix album, correct?
Yeah. We did that, and then we went out. I remember we went out on the Warped Tour that year, but we didn't play. Criterion usually had a stage, and for whatever reason, their whole stage thing got fucked up that year. But we were able to have a tent, so we went out for like a week and a half.
Oh, just like hand it out.
Well, you tried to sell shit and just try to fucking hand out as much shit and just like try to get the name out there, because it was before. That was in June of 2005.
That stuff's helpful, though. Did you see return from doing that? I'm just trying to speed it along a little bit, because you put your first album out. Was that when did that come out?
No, that came out on I want to say it was August 2nd, because it was right before, because right after that Warped Tour thing, we came home for a couple of weeks, and then I went out on my first real tour that I ever like really went on, that like I was playing on. I'd gone out on like 2 different Warped Tours. One I went out driving for CKY. And then one I went out with the Knives, where we weren't playing. We were just, that year we weren't playing. We ended up playing the Warped Tour later, but that year we weren't playing. But we ended up going out with, on my very first real tour, CKY, Fireball Ministry, and the Knives, August and September 2005. And that was the start of a pretty much, the whole, we did 4 different tours with CKY that year. From August 2005 to August 2006.
Tell that tour story. It's interesting.
Well, it's what's neat is this. The Knives were a hard-working band, and we went out with CKY, but, it was one of those things where, because we weren't known and we didn't have a big agent or anything at the time, we had to figure out how to do it. Now, because my childhood friend was in CKY, he was able to throw me a bone, but he had a very good point, and I understand his point, which is like, well, why am I going to hook up these fucking other guys? I don't even know who the hell they are, and I don't know how long you've known them, so why the hell should I be hooking those guys up? So I got an offer for you. And he basically, he goes, listen, you can help us while we help you. You tech for us, you guys can open the tour.
I'd have been like, absolutely, yeah.
So that's what we did.
That's what you did.
We would play first out of 3, and then we would get a break while Fireball Ministry was playing, and then we would tech for CKY. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. It is the ultimate mind fuck.
Yeah, you go from like
living the dream to not living the dream real fucking fast.
You go from living the dream to paying for the dream.
Yeah, but you know what? I understood why he did it. And I got
it helped
easy.
him out too.
Listen, it helps them out. It helps them out big. I mean, think about it. Saving like what's a tech cost a week? No less than like $1,000.
Not only that, but 4 of them.
Right. And I got it easy. It was just like one of those, like every now, it would be like, not every now again, every day, it'd be like, all right, hey, anybody seen Udell? And then somebody would be like, yo, Chad's looking for you. He wants you on the bus. And then I'll just go to the bus, and me and him would just watch fucking like Fast Times at Ridgemont High and smoke weed for the rest of the afternoon while the other guys teched. I mean, I had it easy, but Levon got his ass kicked. Let's call it how it was. Levon got hazed more than anybody. Let me break it down real quick. I'll go like this. We did 4 tours with them. And this is the best way to break it down. If anybody's been in a fraternity, which I haven't, but I had a lot of friends who have, so I know how it works. So this is kind of like it was if it was a fraternity, okay? The very first tour, we were pledges for sure. We got our fucking asses handed to us. The second tour, which basically this tour was August and September. We came home for October, and then we were out for November. The second tour, we'd made it into the fraternity as brothers, but we were the low-ranking brothers who still got beat up on, but not as bad. The third tour was an American tour. We didn't have to tech anymore. We've reached full brotherhood, and we were just the opening act. So yeah, we grew the ranks, and then by the time we went to Europe with them, they let us live on the bus with them and stuff. So those
Europe
guys,
was the 4th leg of that.
Europe was the 4th. First time I ever went to Europe was with those guys. And those guys, they really, it became a family. And I remember when they asked us to go to Europe, they're like, why change anything? You guys are like family. So you guys want to go to Europe with us.
That's cool. Why did Levon have the toughest time of the 4 pledges?
because Levon was the best looking guy on the tour. Probably, I really think it came down to something like that.
Would he agree with that he had the hardest time?
What, that he got his ass kicked? Got his ass. These guys just fucking picked on him more than anybody because he was the pretty boy of us all. You know what I mean? Like he was the good looking guy. He was all buff. You know what I mean? He got all the chicks wanted to talk to him more than anybody else on the tour. So I think it was sort of like fuck
now
that
we've
guy.
Gotten to the bottom. Now we've gotten to the bottom.
It's probably what it was.
Well, so what did they do? What did they do to him?
Man, the fraternities talk about the hazing. We're not talking about the hazing.
I was never in a frat. I don't know. You don't talk
about
that
all right, I'll tell you one thing that was like something that we'd do to fuck with them. We'd be like 20 minutes from going on stage. Be.
So you were included. Were you in on this?
No, we being a band are 20 minutes from going on stage.
Oh, my bad. Okay. My bad. I'll cut that out.
And they'd be like, Levon, go out to the line in the parking lot and film people. Shit like that. But we're about to go on stage. I don't really give a fuck. If it wasn't for us, there would be no stage to go on to. Go film people.
Oh, I'm laughing, but that would get me. That would sink to my core.
It was all out of fun. I mean, like,
yeah. So this is the time that you're kind of a part of a scene called Kiss or Kill.
We'd been part of Kiss or Kill before we ever released a record.
Do your best to explain. Like, I know Kiss or Kill because you've told me about it, but do your best to explain like what was Kiss or Kill.
I think the best, if you want to be honest, the best way, let's pull up the trailer for the documentary. It'll tell the whole fucking thing in a minute and a half.
Oh, okay.
Let's do it.
All right. Here we go. Kiss or Kill. All scenes are relevant, but they eventually phase into nothing. Kurt Cobain.
You can't get that for $10 in Hollywood Boulevard.
So this is
getting chills watching it. My favorite time in LA.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday.
It was just a scene.
It was that packed. It was that packed for every band from beginning to end. Every fucking Tuesday.
What was the venue?
It was Zen Sushi. And then it moved to the Echo. Yeah, we started the Garage, went to Zen Sushi, and then to the Echo.
Where am I? Kiss or Kill!
The club was Kiss or Kill.
We wanted to create our own scene that had vibe, that had feel, that was a community.
I went to Kiss or Kill and I was like, oh my God, we have to play with these bands.
It was amazing to see this happening on a Tuesday night.
No BS. Here we are. Here's our songs.
On a
3
Tuesday,
chords and
too.
a cloud of dust.
There was a counterculture feel that it had because it wasn't what you were seeing in Viper Room.
Prior to Kiss or Kill, it was
How's
pretty
Levon?
bleak in Los Angeles.
We do these dumb gigs at like the Whiskey where there's a $15 cover for like 9 unknown bands. There's a better way to do it. Cheap
Everyone
cover,
shits
cheap
on the
drinks,
Whiskey,
and
dude.
Bands that everybody likes.
Yeah, this place sucks.
Everybody knew each other, everybody was talking to each other. It was very rare that I'd ever seen that.
They were a family. They seemed more like a family than just a scene.
There was no pretentiousness. It was something real and honest going on.
That's you.
There have been several Kiss or Kill shows.
Why have we
where
never
I've
spoken about
started
this?
to cry. Because I just get overwhelmed with looking around and I'm getting all choked up now.
I was completely blown away by what I saw. I immediately knew it was like, this is it. This is what we've been looking for.
But you get the idea. It was awesome. You got to go.
That's awesome.
You got to watch the
question.
documentary.
This is leading me to some questions now. First of all,
Great.
I've known you a long time. A couple weeks ago, we established you've been on TV several times. Now you're in a documentary.
That's true.
Which leads me to believe that one of my most talkative friends that gives me shit for not talking about myself, I've just discovered, doesn't really talk about himself too much.
No, I mean, it's crazy because the documentary was done in like 2007, but it didn't come out until like 2000 and, oh God. Levon's dude, look up the fucking artwork for it. Levon is the poster and the cover.
That's
of
cool.
it. Yeah, no, it's crazy.
What happened next? Because that was all in the process of your first album. Then you put out an album called Filthy Animal. Or Filthy Angel, I'm sorry.
Should have been called Filthy Animal.
Animal.
Oh, I like that. That's really funny.
Keep the change, you filthy animal. Because that was on a different label. That wasn't on Criterion. What happened?
No. Filthy Angel was on Aries, and we started. This is when Scott left the band. Scott was our. I call Scott the original bass player, even though there was like two people before him. Haggis was on the first album, but like Scott was like the bass player when shit started to really fucking take off.
Yeah.
He was there with us. Scott and I were really, really close in the band. He left, and then we got this guy Kyle. Kyle came in and played bass for a while. And while he was in the band, we went on tour, the Jägermeister tour with the Cult. We did a bunch of different stuff because we were also sponsored by Jägermeister. So like we did that. That wasn't a long run, but it was a good amount of shows. And then we also did like one-off shows. Like I played the Wiltern twice on the Jäger tour, but as all one-offs. Like I remember one time we did with a Stone Sour and Shadows Fall. And then there was a third time when I got fired. We were scheduled to play there with Hinder, and I believe they still did that show a couple of days after they fired me, which means they had a drummer lined up.
Well, let's talk about that and kind of move on a little bit because I don't want to get too redundant.
Okay, so then the band, after that album, things start to slow down. Kyle, the bass player, leaves. I think he's going back to school or something like that. And then right around this time, when it actually kind of seemed pretty bleak for the band, to be honest with you. Things didn't seem like they were on the up and up. It just felt like things weren't right. Our agent was also the agent for Nick Oliveri from Queens of the Stone Age. Our agent knew we needed a bass player.
Mm-hmm.
Him and I went out to lunch one day. I told him we were looking for a bass player. However long it takes to drive from West Hollywood to Sherman Oaks, which is where I had lunch to where I live. In that time range, after I left our agent, he had called me and said, hey, Nick Oliveri wants to try out for the Knives. Now, the reason Nick Oliveri knew about the Knives was because the Knives played with Mondo Generator, his side project. We did a gig with them. And when we and he really dug the band.
So did you know him or just know of him?
Just knew of him. As a matter of fact, he scared the shit out of me. I remember seeing the Nobody Knows video, Queens of the Stone Age Nobody Knows video, and he's the bald guy with the crazy fucking beard. And I remember,
he's the standout.
I remember being like, that guy is. I said this out loud at the time. That guy is the scariest guy in rock.
Did he prove to be?
No, he actually turned out to be this sweetheart. To be honest,
yeah, as most do, dude. Some of the people that you quote call freaky or whatever you want, like people pass judgment on like freaky looking. Some of my best friends are those people.
I've never played with anybody who straight up had music just oozing from their pores all the time. Very surreal, dude. Because I jammed with him before anybody else. I went to his house, and one of my favorite Queens of the Stone Age song is Gonna Leave off of Songs for the Deaf. And it's one of Nick's songs, and we jammed it, just me and him. But it was even crazier because there's two versions of that album. That album came out in English and Spanish. And when we jammed it, he sang it in the Spanish version, which I thought was even crazy. Yeah.
So I'm trying to get to the bottom of how that didn't help you guys. Did it change the dynamic?
No, it totally fucking helped us. And it would have helped us had certain people in the band not let their drug use get in the fucking way of letting things be the way they needed to be. Bottom fucking line. I mean, listen, kids out there, you want to ruin your band, get in the drugs. So the bottom line is the certain member, and I'm not saying it wasn't Nick and it wasn't Levon, okay? If anyone wants to do any fucking research, you can figure out who the fuck it was. That guy fucking sat there and let his habits and his addiction get in the way of everything. And talk about self-destruction, that's probably what it was, because he knew what's going to happen. Now we're going to go on the road a lot. If we're going to go on the road a lot, I'm not going to be able to get my fucking drugs.
Ooh, really?
That's how I perceive it.
Yeah,
that's how I perceive it. Because what do? You get rid of the fucking guy that gets all the fucking shows.
Because you were booking shows.
Yeah, dude. I was dealing with the agent. I was making sure we're getting on tours. To give you an example of that, a month before I got kicked out, and this might have been one of the things that was going to get me kicked out, this particular person did not understand the concept of, at the time, Bam Margera was at his peak. He was huge, okay? And he was opening up his club, his rock club in Westchester, Pennsylvania called The Node. We had gotten offered to come out there. There was 2 opening nights. We had gotten an offer to come out there and open for CKY at one of the opening nights. He couldn't wrap his mind around why that was a good idea. And it pissed him off that I thought that was a good idea and that I saw what the positive of, hey, let's fly out to Philly, play Philly, do a couple of other shows while we're out there, get the publicity we need because it's going to be a big fucking event, you dumb fuck.
2 comments. 1, you're starting to get angry.
Yeah, I'm getting angry.
I get it. But 2, that shows the progression of his problem because, like, any sane mind would be like, that's a great opportunity.
There was a change, and that change was a bad change. And, you know, I wish that person well today. I don't know exactly what's going on with them, but that, you know, everything happens for a reason. Am I angry about it? Yeah. Why? Because, dude, when I tell you that I did not see it coming, I did not see it coming. We played a sold-out show the night before with Fireball Ministry at the Viper Room. Fucking awesome. Next night, the same time we're playing the sold-out show the night before, literally 24 hours later, these 2 dudes are sitting on my couch firing me.
Yeah,
to this day, I can't even tell you why. I can't even tell you why to this day.
Let's move on, okay? Because you get kicked out of the Knives. That sucks, but you rebound pretty quickly.
Very quickly.
Like a month or 2 later, you're in another band. You're in another band that I ended up joining pretty soon.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm just trying to move on to that
story. I think, you know, in one way it was a step backwards because I went from being in a national act to being into a local act again. But I joined a local band that was the biggest drawing band in Los Angeles by far. I rebounded by putting myself out there. You know, we'll tell a funny Elvis story. Elvis, bass player for Wonder Drive for a long time. I met Elvis. He was in a band called the Bourbon Saints or some shit. And at the same time, he had joined Wonder Drive, and he knew they needed a drummer. So he didn't tell me about the drumming gig with Wonder Drive. He told me about the drumming gig with this dude who's a great guitar player and stuff, plays around town. But it wasn't the same kind of quality gig. And to this day, Elvis, if you're listening, which there's probably a chance you are, can you explain to me, I would like to know one thing. Why is it that you did not go to bat for me and try to get me the Wonder Drive audition? And instead, you got me that other audition with, let's call it what it is, not even in the same ballpark or the same city of ballparks.
You're being vague, so here's my follow-up question. Elvis is in Warner Drive, the band that you are soon to be the drummer of.
Elvis had just
joined. He comes to you and says that you have an opportunity to play. And so if he just joined, he probably didn't have the pull to be like, yo, this guy.
They were looking for a drummer. They were auditioning people. I had an audition for the band. Yeah.
Maybe he was testing you. Maybe he's like, well, if he likes this, he's not our style.
He knew me from the Knives. The Bourbon Saints played on that last show I played with the Knives.
Okay, so you get this audition that you don't want. How do you actually get into Warner Drive then?
Because I saw an ad for it.
Oh, and you sought it out.
I sought it out.
Elvis, you're a dick.
Yeah, I saw the ad.
Love you, buddy.
I asked Elvis. I'm like Elvis, you play in Warner Drive. Why didn't you tell me they were looking for a drummer? He goes, Still to this day, Elvis, I still don't have an answer for that. So if you're listening, feel free to text me anytime.
Get on the podcast and explain yourself.
Yeah, we'll get you on next week.
Yeah. So you're in Warner Drive for give or take a year, and then I join it.
Yeah. Wow. Didn't even realize.
Was that your favorite day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
You guys were cool to me right off the bat. There was never any, like...
Warner Drive's unlike any other band I've ever been in my life. It really is. It's very family.
Like friends. It's like friends. So I didn't expect it. I did not. If you would have told me, like, well, okay, if you would have asked me after the first time we jammed, I had a good experience. If you would have asked me going into that, like, would I be friends with these people in 10 years?
Who was it that we auditioned somebody the same night we auditioned you? And I remember.
I don't know. You told me this in hindsight.
I remember the audition. The person we auditioned, it was one of those. We had to.
Yeah.
Audition them. I think we knew you were the guy already.
Because I didn't feel like I was auditioning. I in my head, and call it naivety or whatever you want to call it, but I was going to jam. I wasn't going to try out or anything like that. And I'd learned literally every song. At that time, there was 2 albums, so it wasn't a whole lot to learn, but it was still 20.
Well, you know what? Water Drive's
whatnot.
Deceivingly difficult.
They are difficult songs. Yes, they are difficult songs. I've come to the conclusion last week into this week, it's impossible to tell everything all in one podcast because it's just too long. So we're going to keep this continued down the road. We'll talk about more of this stuff down the road, you know.
Okay.
But to wrap it up today, I want to ask you some things.
Let me hit some weed for this.
Yeah. You do that, and I'm going to prepare my questions.
Okay.
I like it. You got your smoke machine. You have your
fog machine.
There it is, buddy. Cough it out. We talked about a lot of music. What's your favorite memory?
Any band.
Any band. Anything. I was 8, and I played a monkey cymbal. I'll edit my question. What is one of your fond memories?
Actually, this could even be considered. No, it's a top 5 favorite all-time memories. Second time we played Ditmarscher on the first year. Not the Thursday night show, but
Festival
the Saturday night show. Festival in Germany. Because when I was a kid, I always thought it was the coolest thing to go to a festival. And like when a band was on stage and it was sunny, but by the time they finished, it was dark and the sun went down and the lights were on. And we had that time slot, that direct support slot for Royal Republic, where we went on stage and the sun was up. And then as we were playing, the sun went down. And when we finished the show, it was dark outside.
Dude, good answer.
That was one of my favorite memories.
It's a good answer.
Because that was a childhood, like legitimate, like I wanted to achieve that.
And you know what? My second question was going to be, what's your all-time favorite show? I have a feeling you may have answered 2 questions with that one.
I wouldn't call that my all-time favorite show.
No? Okay. All-time favorite show.
Malmo Festival, the year that the dudes from the Ark played with us.
Okay, so Swedish festival in the city of Malmo. And
it was
we were
Malmo,
joined by
rock stage at Malmo Festival, August 2017.
I got to put a picture of that one up. Go to the YouTubes. That was a good one.
Yeah.
I got a final question for you. Pickle. I got a final question for you. It's not to make it over dramatic, but music's a tough way to make a living. If you weren't doing that, what do you think you'd be doing?
Ironically enough, I think I'd be a radio DJ.
Really? What makes you think that?
Because when I was 18 and I went away to college, I learned that I might be good at that because I went to University of Nevada, Reno. There was no college radio station. You
got the voice for it.
Well, that's what I've been told that my entire life. Like, no lie. It's
strong
like
voice.
I've been told. I went up the street to the local radio station, second largest station, classic rock station in Reno. And I went in, I asked intern there for a semester. Guy did a demo tape with me at the end of the semester. I came back for the next semester, and he offered me a job.
That's
midnight.
Awesome.
Yeah, midnight to 8 a.m. Friday and Saturday nights as a freshman in college.
Ooh, immediately not awesome. No. Immediately not awesome.
However, I think if I would have taken that job, very natural at it. I was very natural at it. It was like something that I think that I would have been like, well, that's going to be an easy way for me to make money.
You expected the morning shift right off the bat, dude?
I would have done the midnight to 8 fucking shift Monday through fucking Thursday.
During the week, yeah.
I always say that I would have been angry.
You would have been like angry on the radio? We were angry on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, but I would have been
really,
like resentful because like it, you know, like I would have been like, this is so-and-so, they fucking suck. Yeah. You know
what?
I'll tell you. I never did it.
Not to make this about me again, but I'm gonna. When I was in college, I had a kind of a similar experience. I interned for WNCI in Columbus, and I went in my first day there. They were showing me around, introducing me to people, whatever. And there's this, it was in the morning, and there's this douche called Jimmy Jam. And I'm saying his name because he's a douche. First thing hi, hello, this is Ryan. Dude starts just like making fun of me. And I'm like, oh, cool. He's like a fat bald guy. Starts making fun of me. I'm like,
but wait a second. He's like the star guy at the station, though. Like, of course he is.
I don't give a shit.
You're the intern.
I don't give a shit.
It's like being the fucking pledge at a fraternity.
I'm a human being. Be friendly. You know, hi. That'd
What did
been
he
cool.
say?
That'd have been a good start.
What did he say?
He goes, "Hey, Corky Romano."
It's funny.
The guy that was and then I replied back because I'm
it's
a
the guy
smart ass.
from the Night at the Roxbury, right?
Yeah. And I'm not arguing with him, but that was the first thing that he said to me. And then I replied with, "All right, George Costanza," because he's a fat bald guy. And then from that point on,
to him?
I said that right back to him. From that point
that's
on,
awesome.
dude didn't like me.
You
So,
think he would have respected
anyway,
you for that? He would have. You would think he would have respected you for that.
Yeah, but I think I just brought out his insecurities. He's like, "Oh, well, you're not supposed to say that to me. I'm the morning."
Well, he
guy."
brought out the insecurity in you, and that's why you said it to him. He like now that, ladies and gentlemen, Ryan hates that fucking comparison, by the way, but he does look just like a spitting image of the guy.
But anyway, so fast forward, like I was there for a semester, and bands would come in and be on the radio, and I just realized that I didn't want to be on that side of. I didn't want to be on that side of it.
You want to be the guy in the band.
Yeah.
And I'm scared that's what would have happened to me. Nowadays, though, like we're doing the podcast. This is like fucking great for me. Did I ever tell you how I got kicked off of my community college radio station on air? Like fucking straight up kicked off.
I would like to hear this.
Yeah. Well, we used to do crazy shit like bring in helium tanks and do all sorts of weird stuff. Me and Bill Mellon. And Bill Mellon does listen to this show from time to time.
Shout out Bill Mellon.
He has texted me, and he lives in Huntington Beach. So like I got to see him.
I like shout out old friends. It's fun.
Yeah. I just kept cursing on the air, man. I just kept saying fuck. And like I didn't like it's just part of, if anybody hasn't fucking noticed on this fucking show, I fucking say it every fucking second.
Whatever do you mean?
Fucking,
I've never
it's unfucking believable. The fucking guy comes in the fucking door and he fucking tells me you're fucking fired.
Yeah.
Right there on the air. So I got fuck, I'm fired.
And you're like, "Oh, I'm fired?" Darn.
Yeah. And this is my first comeback to radio since, so
nice. Hey. Well, we've gone completely off the rails. It's all good. I'm happy to have gotten to know a little bit more about a little bit more about you, buddy.
Maybe next week we'll talk about maybe not. So don't hold me to it if we don't. But maybe we'll talk about the Warner Drive years with Ryan and Johnny together.
We'll either do that or we'll find some story this week about some bodily function that we think is funnier than our personal.
For all I know,
stories.
we might have a guest in the books already, and I don't even realize that.
Okay.
We might.
Well,
I don't know.
Tune in next week for maybe a guest or maybe a story about dicks or something like that, or maybe a Johnny can get through an episode without swearing.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, and report. Don't forget.
Don't change yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, report. Thanks, everybody, for joining us again here on the What Everybody podcast. And until next time, go to YouTube's or the What Everybody, whateverybody.com. If you haven't been there yet, do that.
Yep.
And if you haven't seen Ryan's great beard, he's been fucking really looking good.
It's a strong one today. It's a strong one today.
I'm having a real flat hair day. I've been sitting here playing with it all day. All right, we'll see you later, guys. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.
Bye.